First, we got to talk about Turkey. So essentially, what I have been saying for a long time now seems to be coming true in the sense that Russia seemingly has become the power broker of the region.
Yeah, absolutely. So Russia filling that vacuum created by the US's decision to remove troops from northeastern Syria. But no, you are exactly right. The other thing to also point out here, let's get one thing straight. Removing those sanctions is more symbolic than anything else because they had more bark than bite in the first place. But what this also does, Hadley, I think, is essentially not just create that vacuum, but also really put the onus of responsibility back on the Russians and prop up the Assad regime as well. What Trump has also done here is basically let Turkey get off scot-free for its incursion into northeastern Syria in the first place, and it creates more flux in the region as well. Remember, James Jeffries, the special envoy to Syria, also said just a few hours ago that this has actually resulted in more than 100 escaped ISIS fighters still out on the loose. The United States conceded that it does not know where those escaped ISIS fighters are, and that is perhaps the biggest national security threat to the US today as a result.
That's interesting. And I was sitting in New York watching this story unfold while you were reporting live from Istanbul and from Ankara. And what I found fascinating is this is on the cover of the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post, across the board. This was in every headline on every major news network. This conversation about how big a mistake it was to walk away from the Kurds, to walk away from the situation in Syria. But the president seemingly even still in denial that ISIS is a problem.
Well, he says ISIS is fully taken care of, but if you look at...
Which every other major expert in military personnel will say to you, no, that's not actually correct.
And you look at the pushback that we've also seen from both sides of the aisle in the United States, Republicans and Democrats coming forward to condemn the president's decision here. Clearly, it leaves a lot of uncertainty for him politically, but I would also contend this is a big positive for Erdogan in Turkey. Clearly, he's able to say domestically he's been able to eradicate those terrorists, more than 700 of them, as he describes, and at the same time effectively influence more control over Syria as well, which was part of the goal in creating the safe zone too.
So creating a lot more flux in the region, and then obviously what we've been seeing out of the last few days out of Lebanon, mostly peaceful protests. But one wonders at what point the Lebanese people kind of get the message that it's all well and good to have a party, but when you're keeping the banks closed, when you're keeping people off the roads, a lot of roads still blocked, people aren't able to go to work, you're sending a message to financial markets that this is a country that's in chaos.
Yeah, indeed. And this has been interesting to also see how it impacts Hariri, for example. The big question now is what this means for him moving forward. Does this represent some kind of significant pushback against his administration, or perhaps the end of it, maybe?
Absolutely. I mean, it's going to be certainly a story we're going to continue to watch. Staying with us, though, Saudi Arabia, where we have seen a bit of a cabinet reshuffle. Just like all these things in Saudi Arabia, they generally happen very last minute, overnight, and with no actual, no warning. Basically, what we've seen now is a new foreign minister coming into office, Faisal bin Farhan. He served as ambassador to Germany and early as a political advisor at the Washington embassy as well. His appointment has widely been seen as an effort to continue to improve the kingdom's image after the murder of Jamal Khashoggi. Now, King Salman issued a series of royal decrees as well that also included replacing the transport minister as well. The Director General of Saudi Arabian Airlines, Salah Al-Jasser, will be taking over as transport minister. Of course, that also follows that massive fire that we saw a couple of weeks ago in Saudi Arabia. Now, it's interesting as well when you take a step back and think about what this actually means in terms of the politics, because what we've seen in the past, obviously, the former foreign minister, who was also the former finance minister, Ibrahim Al-Assaf, I mean, he was largely a pretty silent figure during his tenure as foreign minister. He was only there for about a year, and Adel Al-Jubeir still being the main spokesman for Saudi foreign affairs. And I've done, I think, 2 or 3 interviews with Mr. Al-Jubeir since he moved to being a minister of state. So you have to really wonder how much of this is window dressing.
Do you think it represents a bit of a westernization of the administration in any way? Because he was the former ambassador to Germany, for example. He's done deals with Boeing. He's seen as young, windswept, interesting. Is that perhaps a westernization in your view?
Possibly. I think that this is something that's coming on the heels, as we know, of a really, really bad press cycle for Saudi Arabia. And whether you believe that they deserve that or not, it's something that they're going to have to change and address in the coming months if they really want to get anything done with regards to the tourism sector, with regards to the public image, because, you know, we're coming up on the FII conference as well. And already we've seen a lot of negative press surrounding that. So certainly the Saudis know that they've got to do something about this, and they're working very hard to change that image. Hey, Hey everybody, it's Hadley Gamble from our new CNBC Middle East Bureau in Abu Dhabi. Thanks for stopping by. Now to watch more, you can try one of the videos that just popped up on your screen. And don't forget to subscribe.